Welcome back. You're watching Money, 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 and today we're discussing how the needs of the HNI is different from retail investors and what are the financial tools that they use. With us today, we have Anshu Kapoor, Head of Global Wealth Management at Edelweiss, KK Mishra, MD and CEO, Tata AIG General Insurance, and also with us is Pradyumna Jajodia, President and Executive Director of the Warden Group. Pradyumna, once again, first to you.
Sure.
Estate planning is a huge subject in itself, and for people who've inherited a vast amount of wealth, it must be a gigantic task. Have you taken steps already? I mean, do you have a will in place? Do you have succession plans in place?
So I'm 37. I'm still young to kind of formulate a will for my successors. But yes, I think in the family level, my father has already embarked on that, on the steps of estate planning. I think in India, this is often ignored. Nobody really pays attention to estate planning. However, last couple of years, I think the government announced its intent to come up with inheritance tax. Now imagine a situation where an estate of, let's say, 100 crores is transferred from generation X to generation Y, and there's a tax of 30 crores on it at 30% interest, 30% tax rate. Where will that individual get that 30 crores? Either he's wealthy enough to take it out from his investments and pay that, or he will need to sell those assets to raise 30 crores, which defeats the entire purpose of transferring the asset from one generation to the other. Therefore, I think prudency is now to plan your estates, to ring fence your estates in such a way that they are tax efficient and can be transferred from one generation to the other.
See, in India, a will can be challenged by anyone. There are only few structures which give you total assurance that the wealth will actually get transferred to the next generation. So for that, there's a lot of thinking that is needed. And usually in India, a large chunk of businesses are family owned. And there are complexities within the families, and they take time to resolve. So one aspect obviously is the tax piece, the other is the certainty or the ring fencing, and third is to protect the family or the inheritors from any risks that the business may undertake. So it has to be in a way a limited liability structure that does not put the entire wealth at risk. So it's always best to get started now.
And what are one of the methods that you advise? I mean, would you be advising HNIs on things like philanthropy?
Absolutely. I think a lot of our clients now want to give to society. They may or may not be involved fully with the project, but there is a certain desire to give.
You know, Mr. Mishra, there are so many dynamics at play normally, with asset creation, preservation, and so on and so forth. Are there any add-ons that you give to your insurance policy? I know you told us about, the various kinds of items that you would give. What are the add-ons that you could provide?
That's what he said rightly, one line, the risk adjusted. What exactly is the risk they are looking at? First thing, we know the risk appetite of the person, okay, how much he can himself take on. If he's not in a position to take on, naturally, whatever is left out, those are the add-ons which we will provide. Fundamentally, as Anshu rightly said, it starts with the will of the person, what he wants to invest, what he wants to give as a philanthropy, and what he wants to keep as a charity. And then decide that, okay, whatever asset I have created or I'm going to create, up to this, I'm okay with it. For him, losing a car may not be an important thing, but losing something will be very difficult. So there we come into and say, okay, this is your risk appetite. Beyond that, I'm here, and that we provide the add-on.
So when you're deciding the asset allocation for an HNI, would goals really matter for them?
They do, actually. See, 5 years back, or maybe 10 years back, returns were the only condition that an investor would look at. How much return am I going to make? Then the focus has shifted now to not only returns but risk management, right? What is my risk adjusted return? Return, absolute returns. See, for someone like him, he is not benchmarked to Nifty or Sensex. So if Sensex were to go down -10 and his portfolio did -5, I don't think he's going to be happy.
Sure.
So one, the focus is shifted to absolute returns. So his benchmark, for example, could be inflation plus 5% or GSEC plus 3%, and every client is different.
Right.
And also the asset allocation varies in that sense. The needs could be different. For example, he may need a lot of asset protection, what Mr. Mishra referred to, or he may also need asset transfer strategies. How do I equalize wealth?
Right.
So how do I transfer assets from one generation to the next generation? How do I ring fence and protect? All the risk they are taking is in the business.
Right.
What if something goes wrong in the business? Business is the source of all wealth. How do you ring fence that wealth? So there are a lot of related issues around wealth that has been created. And also now you add globalization. So most of high net worth individuals are globalized. They are running global businesses. They also do want to access the global markets. India is only 2.5% of world market cap.
Right.
So now there's a huge desire, but not enough means to invest and diversify in hard currency assets. So someone like them, because they run a global business, rupee dollar is a very, very crucial decision factor, because India is an high inflation country. Traditionally, for the last 30 years, rupee has depreciated about 5% compounded. So how can you protect a dollar hard currency wealth? A lot of our customers have kids going overseas, so there needs to be hard currency assets overseas to fund education, living, and so forth. So as you can see, the goals are still there, but they're very, very different from what you call a retail investor.
True, actually. And for Mr. Mishra, for someone who has such diverse assets, would you recommend that they insure, individual assets like individual pieces of art or jewelry, or do you think, more of a comprehensive policy would work better?
Well, I will always say that there cannot be all size fit everyone. So it has to be individually, he has to look for it. Yes, we do agree for a complete bouquet also, but it's always better to go for his individual assets, because as he rightly says, something in US or something here, and if you want a dollar parity, it has to be looked differently than what you are doing in India. So these things have to be looked very carefully, and normally we do a lot of due diligence on this, and we do advise what is right for them. At the end of the day, it's the customer choice, but it's a specialized area and it needs time and some understanding of the issue.
All right, so it's been great fun, gentlemen, but we have to wrap it up over here. I'm sure, there's lots more that we can discuss, and at some point in the future, we will. Thank you so much for being a part of our show. I'm sure you have to stay on. There are more fun and games that's left on the show. We'll take a very quick break. We'll come back in a bit. On the other side is our viewer call-in segment, Can I Afford It?